Hi, everybody. Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Thursday, October the 6th. Race number 7 at Belmont at the Big A. First level allowance for New York breds, going 1.16 miles on the turf. Before we begin with the free preview, here's a brief message.
Want to view free Formulator past performances for this race? Head to the Race of the Day page at DRF.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel and bet this card with DRF Bets.
Let's take a look at the field for our Thursday race of the day, the 7th at Belmont at the Big A. Please scan the QR code for race of the day access on your mobile devices. An overflow field, Mike. We've got 12 in the body of the race. The 13 Sells Something, the lone horse on the also eligible list. The 6 Citizen K, 3-1 on the morning line. Had a big lead last time out and just got run down by the chalk.
Yeah, it did. It was a good performance from Citizen K in that most recent start, Dan. As a matter of fact, each of his last 2 starts are pretty good since they stretched him out. Now he has Irad taken over, so I guess that does mean he's going to be the favorite. I don't know how short a price I would want on him, but he does come into this race in good form.
He does have good tactical speed as well. As we take a peek at our time form US pace projector, they are expecting the 6 Citizen K to be close to the pace. The expected speed down towards the inside, a stretch out sprinter trying turf for the first time. The number 1 Street Czar for trainer Todd Pletcher. A little bit of turf pedigree here, Mike. 1/2 to 2 turf winners by Street Boss.
Yeah, there's a little turf pedigree, and I do expect this horse to be on the lead from the inside draw, Dan, not only stretching out, but stretching out off of 2 dirt sprints where he showed pretty good speed.
We'll talk a little bit more about Street Czar. Flavien Prat takes the mount for Todd Pletcher, and Street Boss wins about 14% of the time with the first-time turf runners. As Mike mentioned, this horse should show good early speed in this spot, and maybe could take this field gate to wire if able to back down the fractions. Noble Conquest is the number 2. This horse enters off 2 consecutive wins, albeit against beaten open claimers at Monmouth. Took advantage of a hot pace in this race, Mike. September the 17th at Monmouth, going 1.16 miles. They were blazing early. She came on the outside with a nice run.
Yeah, and that's what this horse needs. He just needs the right kind of trip into the right kind of pace setup. He's actually not that bad. Before he finally got that maiden win last summer at Saratoga, he had actually been racing in pretty good form, and then he finally got the right trip at Saratoga to win pretty impressively. And now he's won 2 in a row against much weaker horses. I guess he could handle the step up in class, Dan, but he's going to need to catch a couple of breaks, I think, to beat this field.
The number 3, Battle Scars, is another horse that might need a little bit of pace help up front. He likes to come from off the pace. I thought his recent return off of a lengthy layoff at Saratoga was fairly promising. He sat in mid-pack, swung to the far outside, and made up some late ground. I think it's a good building block performance for a lightly raced gelding with a bit of upside.
I agree with all that stuff. I mean, I couldn't really fall for him in here, but he certainly, it's when you just go through his 5 starts from his debut up until that most recent start at Saratoga. I mean, there's nothing to really knock about him. He's shown up and he's run pretty well every single time. I thought he ran fine off the layoff last time, and I won't be surprised if he's competitive in here, Dan. I was just worried that he was going to take too much money. He's another horse. I just don't think I would want too short a price on him.
Number 4 is Kingdom on Pause. This is a son of Animal Kingdom, and he's pretty tough to analyze on form. He came from off the pace, beat open $40,000 maiden claimers at Monmouth 2 starts back. It was a good performance against questionable competition, and last time out he just simply had no shot in that Precious Passion against open stakes horses, and he went too fast on the lead anyway. So he does get some class relief. He's still unexposed, but his race against New York breds back at Belmont wasn't very good.
It wasn't, and nor was his start after that at Saratoga. I don't know, Dan. I just don't think you're supposed to judge him. He got a 78 buyer last time in a stakes race, and a race he was just never going to win. I don't think you're supposed to judge him off of that. I think you're supposed to judge him off his prior races, and I wouldn't bet him off his prior races.
Agent Creed is the number 5. Agent Creed exits a race that has already produced 3 next out winners. That was an open allowance race at Monmouth Park, and the winner of that race is in excellent form, a horse that came back to win with an 84 buyer at Monmouth and then did successfully ship to Belmont at Aqueduct, winning a $25,000 claimer with an 85.
This horse is just another one who's very consistent. He's also another horse, then, who has 0 early speed. He's going to be far back early in this race, and he's just going to hope that things set up the right way for him. I do think if things break his way, he's good enough to beat this field. I just don't know if it's going to set up that well for him, although you do have Street Czar down on the inside with pace, and maybe he'll set it up.
Up next is our morning line favorite, the 6 Citizen K, coming off a near-miss performance at Saratoga last time out. We take a look at Citizen K, who prompted the early leader, put that horse away on the turn, turns into the stretch, opens up a pretty big lead at the 3/16 pole, and looks like he's on his way, but the favorite, Catch That Party, is going to run him down in the shadow of the wire. A nice step up for Citizen K, who could work out a similar trip tracking Street Czar.
He did run really well in here. I don't think you could say he had a huge excuse, but he ran well in here. The horse that runs him down, as you mentioned, Dan, was the favorite. He's in really good form right now. Catch That Party. And Citizen Day just couldn't hold him off. His last 2 races are good. He was also 14-1 and 6-1 in those races. And he's going to be much shorter here, especially with Irad taking over.
Nice connections on the 7 Breadman. Respect everything John Terranova puts on the track. Johnny Velasquez takes them out, and this horse is listed as a first-time gelding, and why not? He's been stuck in this first-level allowance condition now for 7 straight opportunities. He needs something to get him over the hump. Maybe he'll be a little bit more involved in the early stages because, like several other of these, he just doesn't have a lot of speed.
Yeah, I don't really know what to do with him anymore, Dan. I really liked his career, his winning debut way back in 2020 as a 2-year-old, and I stuck with him for a while. They tried him in some really tough races after that. I kept giving him the benefit of the doubt, and he just hasn't really improved. I don't like his recent form at all. Maybe being a new gelding will help him.
The 8 is Top Envoy, who pulled off a $70 upset in his career debut at Saratoga, but that race was against $40,000 maiden claimers. Hiked up to this level in his subsequent start, he didn't run as well, but he does have enough speed where I think he can work out a decent trip behind a moderate pace.
I can see him getting a better trip in here. And, listen, maybe this is just the right kind of field for him. His debut was fine. I didn't love that race overall. And I feel like this is just a much tougher spot for this horse, but I would certainly I'd be willing to keep an open mind about him if he's a big price.
The 9 is Curlin's Wisdom, listed as a vet scratch here on September the 18th, but we'll go back to his race 16 days prior. This is a score at Saratoga in a state-bred maiden special weight, and he showed good tactical speed in this race. He stayed right up close to the pace. He grinds down the leader. The third-place finisher came back to flatter the performance, graduating against state-breds with a 73 buyer.
Yeah, slightly improved performance here off of a really good trip, though. He also ran fine 2 starts back when Linda Rice finally brought him back to the turf. I think this is a better surface for him. I also feel like he's got to improve to beat this field.
Maybe the X factor in this race is up next. The number 10, Can't Beat Me, who will be facing state-breds for the first time. This is a horse that's been based at Canterbury over the summer, and he's probably been in against a little bit tougher competition in his last start. His last race produced a couple of next-out winners. The third finisher would come back to run second in a stake at Canterbury with a 76 buyer and ran third in last week's Hawthorne Derby with a 77. So maybe Can't Beat Me's found a good spot. First time Bruce Brown.
It does feel like it's probably class relief for him. I guess if nothing else, he's a wild card, Dan. I get that, you could argue that the two turf races came against better horses, but I didn't really see him do any running in those races.
Giramonte is going to stretch out for the first time in his career, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if this horse shows a little bit of speed. He was sprinting last time out at Saratoga, faced a couple of next out dirt winners, one a very impressive one. The third finisher earned a 91 buyer.
Yeah, listen, he's 1 for 12 on turf. I would argue that he's better than the overall record makes him. Look, he's had his share of difficult trips in his races, but now he's got to stretch out, and he just feels like one of those horses, the more you see of him, Dan, the more you realize he keeps getting in trouble, and it probably has more to do with him than the races that he's in. He's just that kind of a horse.
Last horse in the body of the race, the 12 Marinara Sauced, goes out for Joel Rosario. Chad Brown coming off a nice performance against fellow 3-year-olds in one of the New York Stallion Series events at Saratoga. Let's watch that race right now. And the odds-on favorite in this race, Dakota Gold, just walked on an easy early lead. Marinara Sauced ran very well to be second, running into the teeth of that slow pace. And again, as a lightly raced 3-year-old getting Lasix again, he has a lot of upsides. Got to work out a trip from a tough post.
Yeah, that's I guess the biggest concern with him. It's not like he's going to be some kind of huge price in here, but this is a really good performance against Dakota Gold. And this is a horse, Dan, who personally, I wasn't particularly sold on him after his first few starts. He won his career debut in a total meltdown race over yielding ground. And I didn't think he ran, particularly well in his next 2 starts. He ran fine, but I wasn't blown away by it. He really took a step forward last time. I think if he runs a race like that, this is probably the right spot for him.
And the lone AE, the 13 Sell Something, just scored a state-bred maiden claimer last time out. This is a horse that's going to need to improve from a tough post, stepping up out of the maiden ranks.
Yeah, he pulled off a big upset last time off of a good trip. He's going to need another one to beat this field.
Before we get to our top picks, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRFTV video franchises. Top pick time for our Thursday race of the day. Marinara Sauce did not have a lot of pace last time. He ran very well to a very promising 3-year-old. If he can just avoid an ultra-wide trip, Mike, he's going to be running hard in the lane. He might be the best closer in this race.
Yeah, he probably is. We'll see if Rosario can work out some kind of a trip for him. And then we'll see if the pace sets up then, because I guess that's probably even a bigger question for him. And along those lines, I took the horse who I think is going to be on the lead as my second pick, Street Czar. He's got enough turf pedigree for me. I like this post and I like his speed.
I have a lot of respect for Marinara Sauce. I think he's going to take a lot of money along with the 6. I think Battle Scars will be a playable price. And I think he needed his last race, his first off a lengthy layoff. I'm curious to see what we get now that he has that race under his girth. 3-6, 12-7 for me, 12-1, 6-3 for Mike. It's our Thursday DRF race of the day, the 7th at Belmont at the Big A with an approximate post of 3:50 Eastern. Good luck.